my god, we're so excited for the drop. APT is out. Everyone, please check it out. Bruno.
It started with a moment so small, most people almost missed it. No big announcement, no dramatic post, just a quiet detail that didn't match the story fans thought they knew. And yet, within hours, the internet was asking one question over and over again. Did Bruno Mars finally reveal who he's dating? Because for years, he didn't say a word. No confirmations, no denials, just mystery. But now, something has changed. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Bruno Mars has always been different when it comes to fame. While most artists share everything, their relationships, their daily lives, even their private moments, Bruno chose silence. He gave the world hit after hit, unforgettable performances, and music that felt deeply personal. But when it came to his love life, he kept the door completely closed. Fans noticed. Of course they did. Because when someone writes songs about love the way Bruno does, songs that feel real, emotional, almost too specific, you can't help but wonder, who is he singing about? Over the years, rumors came and went. Different names were linked to him, models, celebrities, even people outside the industry. But nothing ever stuck. Bruno never confirmed anything. Interviews stayed focused on music. Questions about relationships were dodged with a smile. And somehow, that only made people more curious. Because mystery creates attention, and Bruno Mars mastered mystery. But here's where things get interesting. Even though he stayed silent, fans started connecting dots. Small details, repeated appearances, familiar faces showing up in the background of certain moments. And one name kept coming back into the conversation: Rosé.
At first, it sounded like just another internet theory. Fans love to speculate, after all. But the more people looked, the more things didn't feel like coincidence anymore. And that's when everything started to shift. It didn't happen overnight. There was no single moment where Bruno suddenly said, "Yes, this is who I'm dating." Instead, it was subtle, quiet, almost like he wanted only the people paying close attention to notice.
Bruno한테도 thank you, Bruno, for everything. Literally, you're the best. Over to you, Bruno. Do you want to say something?
감사합니다.
거 하나 있었는데. 지금까지
Bruno
로제였습니다. 감사합니다.
One of the biggest clues came during a private industry event. No live stream, no big headlines at first, just a few clips that slowly made their way online. In one of those clips, Bruno was seen laughing, relaxed, completely at ease. And right next to him, Rosé. Not as a guest, not as a passing interaction, but close, comfortable, familiar. That alone wouldn't have been enough. Celebrities meet all the time. But what caught people's attention wasn't just that they were together, it was how they were together. The way they looked at each other, the way they moved around each other without hesitation, the kind of energy you can't fake. And suddenly, fans started asking, wait, how long has this been going on? But here's the twist. This wasn't the first time they'd been seen together. Old clips resurfaced, past events, moments that didn't seem important before suddenly meant everything. People noticed that their paths had crossed multiple times over the years. Music events, industry gatherings, even shared connections behind the scenes. It painted a very different picture, not a random connection, but a slow, quiet build. And what nobody expected was how long they might have been keeping this private. Because once fans started digging deeper, the timeline started to make sense. There were those Instagram moments, nothing obvious, just similar locations posted around the same time. There were interviews where Bruno seemed more thoughtful when talking about love, lyrics that suddenly felt more specific, more personal. And then there was Rosé. Known for her calm, grounded personality, she had also kept her private life private. Despite being part of one of the biggest girl groups in the world, she rarely shared anything about her relationships, which made the situation even more interesting. Two global stars, both extremely private, both careful with what they show the world, and somehow connected.
How do you say, hey everybody, I hope you enjoy APT?
APT 많이
APT 많이
사랑해주세요.
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 사랑해.
사랑해주세요.
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 But still, nothing was confirmed until that moment. It happened during a major awards night, the kind of night where every move is watched, every word is analyzed. Bruno took the stage, confident as always. The crowd was loud, the energy was high. He thanked his team, his fans, his family, all expected.
But then, he paused, just for a second, and he said something simple, something most people wouldn't think twice about. He thanked someone special for being there for him through everything. Now, that alone might not sound like much, but the camera moved, and there she was, Rosé, smiling, not surprised, not confused, just there. And that's when everything changed, because this time, it wasn't speculation, it wasn't blurry footage or fan theories, it was real. The internet exploded within minutes. Clips spread everywhere. Fans broke down every second of that moment. Social media was flooded with reactions. Some people were shocked. Others said they had been calling it for years. And then came the biggest detail of all. After the show, as Bruno left the venue, he wasn't alone. He walked out with Rosé, side by side. No distance, no attempt to hide, just two people comfortable being seen together. For someone who spent years protecting his privacy, that moment spoke louder than any official statement ever could. And people noticed, because Bruno didn't need to say the words. His actions said everything. But the story doesn't stop there, because once the world accepted what was happening, a new question took over. How did this even begin? Sources close to the industry started sharing small insights. Nothing too personal, nothing too detailed, but enough to understand the bigger picture. They met through music. Of course they did. Both artists, both deeply connected to their craft, both known for pouring emotion into everything they create. Their first interactions were professional, respectful, focused. But over time, something shifted. Conversations got longer, moments got more personal, and slowly a connection formed. Not rushed, not forced, just natural. And that's what makes this story different. In a world where celebrity relationships often feel fast and public, this one was the opposite. Slow, private, built away from cameras. And maybe that's why it lasted, because by the time the world noticed, it was already real. As the news settled in, fans started seeing things differently. Bruno's music hit harder. Lyrics felt more meaningful. Even older songs started to take on new interpretations. Was he singing about her all along? It's a question nobody can answer for sure, but it feels possible.
Did you get to sort of see Bruno do his thing? And yeah, you did?
Oh, I did.
What happened? What was that like?
I remember the session. Obviously, I was so nervous. Because here I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
Right now, I could be like Bruno. Because we're a bit close, much closer now, but
Yeah.
I was so shy. He played a few parts that he thought he's like, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that line? And I was like, wow, I think it's great. And he was like, let's record. And so he recorded me. And oh my gosh, I was so nervous. I was so nervous that by that time, I'm usually better than this in my head. I'm better than this. I'm just so nervous. And I'm failing at this line, and and he was vocal coaching me.
Yeah.
Like, Rosie, you have to like throw it out there. Like, it's like, you know.
Amazing.
And I remember I choked on water accidentally before I had to record the bridge, and then I was like, he's like, you have to like shout it, like, hold on, and he was like singing it, and I'm like, hold on, because I choked on water.
And that idea alone made the story even more powerful because it turns the music into something deeper, not just songs, but moments, memories, real emotions. And then there's Rosé's side of the story. Fans of her notice changes too. A certain calmness, a quiet happiness. Nothing dramatic, but enough to feel like something in her life had shifted. And when the connection became public, it made sense. Because sometimes you don't need big gestures to understand what's happening. You just need consistency. And what people saw from both of them was consistency.
No drama, no chaos, just two people choosing each other quietly. That kind of relationship hits differently because it feels real, not built for headlines, but strong enough to handle them. And emotionally, this moment means more than just a celebrity reveal. For Bruno, it represents something he's avoided for years, letting the world see a part of his life he always protected. That's not easy, especially at his level of fame, when every detail can be turned into a story, every moment into a headline. But he still chose to share it, in his own way, on his own terms. And that says a lot.
I would want to do a collaboration. And I say it thinking not 99% not going to happen, but the fact that he's even going to listen to 3 songs. And then he was like, what does APT mean? And I was like, it's a Korean drinking game. And he was like, but we freaked out. I was like, what is happening? And then the rest is history.
For fans, it creates a deeper connection, not just to the music, but to the person behind it. It reminds people that even the biggest stars have real lives, real feelings, real relationships. And sometimes those relationships are worth protecting until the right moment comes. For Rosé, it's also a powerful moment. Stepping into a spotlight like this isn't simple, but she didn't change. She didn't suddenly become someone else. She stayed the same. And maybe that's exactly why it works. Because in the end, this isn't just about who Bruno Mars is dating. It's about how he chose to reveal it. Quietly, respectfully, honestly. No big announcement, no forced attention, just a moment that said everything. And maybe that's why it feels so different. Because in a world full of noise, this story was told in silence. And somehow, that made it louder than anything else. Now the question isn't, is it true? That part is clear. The real question is, what happens next? Will they share more or go back to being private? Will this influence Bruno's music? Will fans see more of them together? Nobody knows. And maybe that's the best part, because some stories don't need every detail explained. Some stories are powerful because of what they don't say. And this one?